My name is Stacey Beal, and as many of you now know, I am the high conflict relationship coach at O'Connor Family Law. So today we're really going to talk about how to master that positive communication. And when you have children involved, it's important to have positive interactions. Keeping in mind, I know every situation is different, and I know this form of communication may not work for everyone, but hopefully you could utilize some of these suggestions. A productive conversation? What does that even look like? Today we're going to break up this segment with how to communicate effectively, but also identifying those stressors and strategies to deal with your stress so you can have a healthy and positive, effective communication with your ex-spouse. Divorce can be an emotionally challenging and stressful process for both parties involved. It's an entirely unique timeline and experience for each couple that goes through it, and that's why it's important that you respect yourself and your spouse through each step. Effective communication with your spouse during this process is truly essential for maintaining that efficient environment. I've come up with some ways that we can communicate with your spouse during this divorce process while really minimizing conflict. So the first piece is maintain open and honest communication. Open and honest communication is really the foundation for all of these healthy interactions during a divorce. Be transparent about your thoughts, your concerns, your needs. Encourage your ex-spouse to do the same. So really listening actively is the key to allowing both of you to express your feelings and perspective without interrupting each other. Really maintaining these open lines of communication and understanding will help you come up with amicable, positive solution. These open communications will really help you also come up with a safe environment where everyone's heard and respected. Active listening is truly crucial in this process, ensuring that each of you are listening to each other, try not to interrupt, and make sure that this happens at the right time. Tips for success. We always need these. Set a positive tone. We don't want to sound attacking. Begin the discussion by really emphasizing why this is an important dialogue to have and be respectful. Create a safe space. We don't want to do this at a restaurant. We don't want to do this at drop off with our children, really at a place where we can understand each other's thoughts and feelings and they're going to be respected. Practice active listening. Some people are not good listeners. You look distracted. You're playing on your phone while somebody's talking to you. You're not focused on the conversation. So really practice. Become an active listener. That's important for your whole life. That's not just important to speak with your ex-spouse. Use I statements, trying not to place blame like, you did this. Really, I feel or I think in these conversations. Focus on the present and the future. I can't stress this enough. Divorce can be emotionally challenging. It's easy to dwell on the past conflicts that we've had. However, to communicate effectively, it's really important that we focus on the present, here and now, and the future. We don't need to rehash old arguments, engage in blaming games, really prioritize a practical matter related to divorce, such as property division, child custody, financial arrangements. Really direct your communication toward resolving current issues and planning for your future. We need to avoid unnecessary tension by staying focused on the practical solution. Choose the right time and place. As I just mentioned, effective communication really requires a suitable environment and timing. So select a neutral and private space for these conversations, something that's comfortable for both of you. Avoid initiating really important pieces during a heated moment when your tensions are high. Maybe we schedule some dedicated time to discuss this when you're both calm and focused. And really having that atmosphere for an open dialogue, you'll likely be able to reach constructive outcomes better. Make sure, again, your children are not present during these conversations. Practice self-care and emotional regulation. Divorce is a challenging process. Nobody's going to tell you it's not. It's important to really prioritize your self-care, your emotional well-being. Take time for yourself. Engage in stress-reducing activities. We're going to talk about those in today's segment. Seek support from your friends, your family. When emotions are high, truly consider taking a break from these conversations and regaining your composure. Then you can continue the conversation. By focusing on also your own well-being, you'll really approach the communication in a healthier way. And if we can't do this, some people do need to seek mediation, where both parties can have assistance with these barriers and working toward that mutual satisfactory result. So by implementing these conflict resolution strategies, you're not only going to resolve disputes effectively, but you'll make a more cohesive and stronger team with each other. And remember, most of all, be respectful. This means refraining from name-calling, sarcasm, and other forms of belittling behavior. If you're feeling overwhelmed, take that break from the conversation. Let your ex-spouse know that you need some time and we'll pick this up later. There are 5 healthy ways to have better conversation, but we need to remember how to take the conflicts we've had and turn them into growth. We're going to grow from what we've experienced before. We've talked about the emotions and the stress. So how do we allow effective communication to happen when we're feeling all of these emotions? How does stress from a divorce present itself? There's so many ways. In some ways, you may not even be realizing. It's really important to understand that stress from a divorce can manifest. Knowing what to look for can help you manage and effectively control this. So, fear of the unknown. It's so natural to feel lost after a divorce, to worry about what we don't know, concerns about what life after divorce is going to look like. That is very common. Health issues come up. That intense stress that's constant from a divorce can really cause some other health problems. Heart issues, sleep disturbances, poor eating habits, all common things. Social concerns. People divorcing often feel like they need to divide friends, just like they're dividing their assets. What about family? Will the ex's family cut you out of their lives as well? Are people going to look at you differently now? These are truly all common worries that will stress your social relationship and change the way that you are relating to people in general. Feeling like a failure. It's not uncommon for people to feel that a failed marriage means that you're a failure too. This feeling can really make you have low self-esteem and lead to depression. So we're trying to manage all of this. Distraction. All of these things lead to being distracted and feeling unfocused. This can cause a problem in every area of your life, including work and parenting, which are 2 really big areas that require a lot of your focus. So how do we cope with separation and divorce and all of these feelings to have positive communication? So going through the divorce is very difficult, no matter the reason. It can turn your world upside down and make it hard to get through the workday and stay productive. But there's things that we can do to get through this. You should know it's okay to have different feelings. Recognize that. It's normal to feel sad, angry, exhausted, frustrated, confused. And how does that have to do with effectively communicating with your ex-spouse? I'm sure that's what you're wondering. But all of these feelings can be so intense and you're feeling anxious about the future. So we need to accept these reactions. They will lessen over time. Even if the marriage was unhealthy, venturing into the unknown is really a frightening situation. It's really scary. Give yourself a break. Pat yourself on the back. Give yourself permission to feel and function a little less than optimal. You might not be able to be quite as productive on a job or care for others in the exact way that you were accustomed to. No one is Superman or Superwoman. Take time. You need to heal and regroup. Re-energize. Please don't go through this alone. Share your feelings with a friend or a family that will help you get through this period. You may even consider joining a support group where you would talk to others in the same situation. Don't isolate yourself. We want to reduce your stress. We want to focus on concentrating and getting your work done appropriately. Relationships and overall health are really a big part of our life. Don't be afraid to get help from the outside. Also, you're welcome to talk to a high conflict coach like myself. Take care of yourself emotionally and physically. Be good to yourself, your body. Make sure you're relaxing, but also try to keep that normal routine as possible. Try to avoid making major life decisions and changes in life plans. We don't want to turn to substances where they only lead to more problems. We need to find ways to utilize it correctly so that when we need to communicate and when we need to be focused, we can. We don't want to turn a discussion into a fight. We want to suggest that you both really try talk later, walk away, hang up the phone, save that email for another time. In fact, sometimes it's even best if you're communicating by email, write the email with how you're feeling. Leave it. Come back to it at another time. Look over it the next day when your mind is a little bit more focused. So we want to take time to explore interests, reconnect with things that you enjoy doing apart from your spouse. Maybe you've always wanted to take up painting or play an instrumental softball team. Sign up for a class, invest time in hobbies, volunteer, take time to enjoy, make new friends. Think positive. Easier said than done, right? But finding new activities and friends and moving forward with reasonable expectations will really make this transition so much easier. Life will get back to normal, although your normal may be different from what you had originally hoped. How to help all of these emotions? All of these components of awareness are really important in mastering that communication goal that we're here talking about today. We want to address the stress that you're feeling so it doesn't impact your communication. How do we do that? So there's some real good tips on how to diffuse the negative emotion. The most important strategy for keeping emotions manageable is setting boundaries. During a high conflict divorce, or any divorce for that matter, it's important to communicate clear boundaries to your spouse, to maintain them. It's important that you don't break off of these boundaries that you choose to set so that they're aware and know what the process is going to look like. For instance, you might tell your ex that you're not going to discuss your case through text or phone call and that you want all negotiations to go through your attorney. Maybe if you have children, you might insist there's no discussion of the divorce during the drop-off or pickup. How often are you going to check your email and text and respond? These are all boundaries. Set that clear, firm boundary, and that's going to help you really reclaim that sense of normalcy without feeling burdened or constant anxiety of engaging in a conflict. Engaging in arguments or heated discussions outside of a court proceeding rarely is going to lead to anything productive and only serve to really have more tension. Look to your future. It's important as much as possible, as we've said, to look at the future instead of the past. The past is in the past. We cannot fix it, but the future is what we're working toward. So really, rather than spending time litigating on who's to blame, keep the conversation on where you want it to be after this divorce. Listen, compromise, acknowledge each other. Having that open mind is really going to help you not be angry, not have resentment or disappointment. And we want to move forward so that we can both move forward positively. So be able to acknowledge your part in a problem, even if you're not the main part. It'll help alleviate feelings and help you move that conversation forward. Finally, it's challenging, but to compromise during a divorce, try your best. Be willing to compromise where you can on both sides. Now we come to a tough part. What do you do when your spouse will not cooperate? There's so many ways someone's behavior can change throughout a divorce. Sometimes these changes are so drastic, a person becomes unrecognizable to their partner. Some people regress, their behavior can turn ugly, that a divorce can become flat out toxic. Even if your divorce has not gone to that extreme, you may see a side of your spouse that you never knew existed. People act different under severe divorce stress, typically out of self-preservation, which can really manifest into ways including feeling angry and feeling isolated. So what do you do if you're dealing with an entirely uncooperative spouse? These are some ways to help you diffuse that tension. 1. Go easy on yourself. Individuals need to be patient, kind. You're going to have less struggles with less stressors brought on from the divorce. The less stress you're under, the more clear you're able to think when it comes to the communication. How can being mindful of how you're feeling really help your mental health? Again, all of these stresses that you have in life are going to affect your communication. So divorce and separation can take a toll on your mental health as well, which in turn is going to have an enormous effect on your day-to-day life. Mindfulness can train you to focus on how are you presently feeling, which in turn will provide you with a greater insight to your own mental health. What triggers negative feelings in you? In some cases, you might need some therapy, some counseling, and somebody else to speak with. You could think of mindfulness as a form of self-care. Being mindful means you're being present. Be present with yourself. So there's a really great activity that you can work on when you're trying to be mindful. Maybe when some of these stressors are keeping you from having positive communication. It's called RAIN, R-A-I-N. It's a 4-step tool that hopefully you can easily remember. By practicing this RAIN technique, you can really identify how are you even feeling, and that will help you walk through some of these difficult emotions that are arising from your separation and divorce. So for the R, we want to recognize, how are you feeling? Start by asking yourself, how do I feel right now? Are you anxious? Are you sad? Are you numb? Are you relieved? Are you happy? A, allow. Allow that feeling to be there. No matter what the feeling is, allow it to take place. Don't try to ignore it. Don't try to bury it. Accept that feeling, because otherwise it's more likely to continue. Don't bury it. Don't allow the feeling of being sad just resonate with you. I investigate. Why are you having this feeling? Become aware of the feeling. What is happening before you started to feel this way? What made you happy? What made you sad? What made you angry? Was it by saying goodbye to your children? Is it an email from an ex that has really triggered an angry emotion? N, Nurture. Nurture without judgment. Remember, feelings are not permanent. You will change how you're feeling. It won't help if you just keep thinking about the emotion or judge yourself for feeling that way. It's a completely separate issue. We want to acknowledge that you're feeling this way, because if we can't acknowledge the feeling, we can't work through it. So again, recognize the feeling, allow the feeling, figure out why by investigating the feeling, and then really nurture without judgment. It's okay to feel the way you feel. Now we're going to walk through the feeling. Another step is by mindfulness for breathing, really working on how your body is breathing. It'll also help you reduce your blood pressure. Try getting comfortable, sit on a chair, focus on your body, close your eyes, bring the attention to how you're feeling. Take 3 deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. And you may have even told your own children this before. It's okay for your mind to wander. It's natural and it's expected. Maybe you're even somebody who likes to meditate. There's not really a set way to get through these stressors, but think of things that work for you. Really identifying what's brought you to it. Because again, if we are stressed, you're never going to have positive interaction with anybody. So the reason that we're talking about how to deal with these stressors is because if we don't deal with the stressor, we're not going to have a positive communication with our ex-spouse who we're going through a divorce with, or after a divorce as well. You could do yoga, Pilates, swim, a very simple one, take a walk, sleep. Sleep can really be hindered when you're going through a divorce. So you want to make sure that you're also getting a good sleep, because your body needs that rest. Maybe retrace your day through some breathing exercises, identifying these issues that you're having, allowing yourself to have these feelings, but really making sure that then you can gather yourself up and move forward. We don't want to isolate ourselves and just dwell on the unfortunate feeling of sadness and anger. You want to bring yourself back up to becoming happy again. So we're really talking about how to effectively communicate with your ex-spouse by identifying the feelings you're experiencing and how to deal with those feelings and emotions so you can stay in that good headspace and keep a positive conversation. For more information on coaching, please visit O'Connor Family Law's website at familylawna.com. Have a great day.